After Jan's family moved to Muscatine from Milwaukee in 1974, she found a new home in this special city along the Mississippi and within Muscatine Community College. While Jan was still in high school, she was recruited to play the oboe in the Muscatine Symphony Orchestra, started by Pete Martinez, MCC music faculty. She attended MCC and was involved in many concerts, plays, and performances. She learned about teaching and connecting with students from Pete, Jerry Winter, and Jay Honstein, who were instrumental in her journey, both as a student and as a teacher. Jan credits her successes as a teacher to her many mentors and musical collaborators, Anita Zanheiser, Sally Potter, and Nancy Keel, former theater instructor at MCC. This was a team sport for Jan, and we believe she was a star player, an MCC legend.
The instructors that I had at Muscatine Community College that I worked with, I think that it can all be summed up in the fact that these people, they were there to nurture and to enhance and encourage the abilities and talents that they saw in their students, and to not be an obstacle, to let them create, to let them discover. And I think those are just great things that we can do in a college this size, in a close-knit faculty and staff of a college this size. I think it's one of the greatest assets that Muscatine has, is the college, and the people that work here and the people that care for the students.
What makes her teaching style so special is that it's relational, it's conversational. In music theory, I don't even think I understood how hard some of the concepts were that she was teaching, because she didn't have an elitist approach to it. It was just helping people understand what you were doing. And I think in rehearsals, it was fast-paced, it was exciting, and we just got stuff done. And I just really appreciated that. One of the most helpful things was she kind of treated us like collaborators a lot of the time. Like I mentioned earlier, she had students do choreography. She always had like a yearly variety show. She'd usually pick out a decade or a genre of music or something like that. And we would have some choreographed numbers as well. And she gave us so much freedom to be able to really put ourselves into the show, and at the same time, you know, a good structure and guidance to make sure that the whole performance came together. But she gave us a lot of freedom, and I think that really helped the investment that we all had in the product as well, and we always felt so proud of what we had put together.
She seemed to find that balance for the students so that they wouldn't be bored, they would be learning, but it would be fun and exciting, and it'd be more of an adventure to them. And at least that's what I've observed.
Three of my favorite years looking back, lots of great relationships built on campus, and a lot of that was because of the choir at MCC. Jan specifically, I think, her as a teacher, it was very much a family atmosphere, and that was a really cool thing to come in, and just coming out of high school from West Liberty. A lot of freshmen that year, and we were a young group, and it truly was a family environment. And there was a time after one of our concerts in 2004 that Jan looked at us and she's like, "See, you all love each other now." And it was like, a mother seeing all of her kids getting along, all 30 or 40 of us. But it really truly was a family environment, and a lot of that was thanks to Jan and her leadership. Her joy was evident. I think we fed off that because it was truly just one big happy family making music together, and it was really cool to be a part of, and I'm thankful for those years. She was very invested in the lives of her students, and there are a number of examples of people that were in choir under her tutelage and ended up married, and so it's kind of fun too, you know, and I'm sure she would talk about that too, but just her investment in her students, in their lives, and seeing their growth was a big thing.
One of the most gratifying and learning experiences I had from my students is when we would have international students. And throughout the time I was here, we had students from South America, we had students from Eastern Europe, we had students from Africa, and these students brought a whole new perspective to the classroom. In choir, they were teaching us songs in their language. And again, they were styles that we were not accustomed to, but so much fun to learn. And I believe it was in 2014, John DeBeat had organized a diversity day. And so it was going to culminate with a concert. And at the time, we had five students from all over the world in our choir, and they had taught us songs, and we performed them with them having center stage, and that was just an amazing experience. It also taught the students and myself just different aspects of these people's lives. You know, we had several students from Kosovo, and they had experienced, as basically children, a horrendous war, and they shared those experiences with us, and I think it just made it so much more real, having heard it from a peer. Our students that came to us from Africa, again, such a different culture. And one of the things that they were so amazed at was the wealth. That's what they would say. You're so wealthy, you're so rich. Well, then they would show us pictures of the villages that they came from, and yes, we were very wealthy, and it just, again, caused you to re-examine your own life, and then what can we do to help those that are in that same predicament, and so they just helped open our eyes to the world. It's so easy to get wrapped up in your own little town of Muscatine or your own area of eastern Iowa, but they really did help us to see things from a global perspective.
The way that Jan treated me during this moment that I was in Iowa was amazing, was very, how can I say, it's something that I can never repay her, something that I can never thank enough for all that she did. You know, the attention, the teachings, and the acceptance that I could receive from her, even as a foreigner. So it's really, it's going to be forever in my memories and in my heart. So for us, it's just, for her, she may think it was nothing, but for me, it's going to be in my heart forever.
The perfect kind of student that anybody would want. I mean, she had an interest in everything that I had an interest in, And you know, she was a fine musician. She was involved in every aspect of the music department. She played oboe in the. I started the Muscatine Symphony Orchestra, and she played oboe. And then she sang in the choir. She was a fine pianist, and took lessons with a piano teacher that I brought in. And she got involved in music theater. She played the lead in Bye Bye Birdie, the female lead in Bye Bye Birdie, and she was gone. And she went with us on. I took this group of students to New York City. She went with us to go to the Metropolitan Opera and so forth. And the following year, we went to London. I took them to London, which was a lot of fun.
We would go to Italy, and there were all these kids, and we'd all be in the same hotel. But when we would go from here to there, we might have maybe a walk a few blocks to eat supper or something. And she'd just say, be back at 7 or be back at 6 for a concert, and they were back. I mean, they were where they needed to be when they needed to be there. We were never, oh, where is Dane? Where is Courtney? It was never that. They were always where they were supposed to be. And that doesn't just happen. That is instilled by being planned and by having Jan model that same behavior.
So I was actually able to go to several places with her. So my first year, there was a trip to the Bahamas. So we were on a Carnival cruise, and then we performed a show on the cruise ship, and then we had the time on the ship and in the Bahamas. That was incredible. That was actually my first time out of the country, was with her on that trip. And yeah, I think that's another reason that we did all bond so well. I think that was part of how she created that environment that resulted in so many amazing memories together. And she just gave us the space to live together and really interact outside the classroom as well. So that was an incredible trip. And then with all the music theory that I took, and I was trying to work ahead with some education classes here, I could have gotten done with my degree pretty easily in 2.5 years here. But there was going to be a trip to Italy the second semester of that third year. So I just took some additional electives and just kind of spread that out a little bit more. And that was incredible. That was a different experience. Just we had more time to actually be in Italy and experience that culture. And I think that was the first time that I was ever really bitten by the travel bug. Just to be able to experience a different culture, and it just completely expanded my worldview. And she set up, I know she worked with a tour guide and all of that, but just the experience she was able to provide us with seeing we went to Venice, and we got to see a lot of the really cool things there, but she also just, once again, treated us adults and allowed us to explore and really see the culture. And some of the collaborations that she set up with other choirs there, musically, that was such an amazing experience to collaborate with people from all the way across the world and have that connection through music. And yeah, I think that solidified my love for music as well as love for travel.
Is that when you're in the classroom, whether it's music appreciation or choir, you need to show kindness and respect. Do not make someone feel uncomfortable. And I think that is key to helping a person be creative, helping a person take chances, helping a person strive for something that they might not otherwise have done just because they're holding back. So again, I do think that being kind and respectful of one another, and I expected that of the students and myself.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking about this on the way here. It wasn't necessarily that Jan had to instill that love for music in us, but she was really good at fostering that and focusing that into a good performance. Obviously, you have a room full of people with different musical tastes and different experiences coming in, but to bring that together and focus it on a great performance, whether it be something like the Messiah, or something like Footloose, you know, there will be any other number of songs that we sang through the years. But being able to focus that and unite people around that too, and grow in that, not just musically, but you know, in your confidence in that love for music.
But yeah, I'm just so thankful that she's been part of my story. It's been so fun working with her, just in so many different avenues throughout my life. She's been a mentor. You know, she was teaching a kids choir when I was a kid, and then to have her be such an influential mentor in my life in terms of career and even music as it pertains to church and my relationship with God and just all of that. It's been so cool to share all of that with Jan, and I'm just so thankful that she's been such a huge part of my life.
Want to compliment her on the wonderful job she did.
Well, to Jan, I can only tell that that everything that she did was not in vain. You know, everything that she taught me was not in vain.
Paul Mays is, simply put, a lifelong learner. He has a supersized intellect, and his curiosity is contagious and inspiring to those around him. There are many students who would follow Paul into the depths of his adventures. He made his students feel there was a place for them in the field of biology and within academia. He was inclusive in his approach. Paul used storytelling as one of his tools to keep students and his colleagues engaged. Whatever he learned himself, he was going to share with his students. Paul felt as though he taught the cream of the crop students at MCC. He helped many find direction, dream a little bit bigger, and come into their own. He was always thinking about new things happening in his field and how to be a better teacher. He and his wife Anne made a formidable team of master teachers. As Paul told me, Anne and I both, we just do things.
So I think about how instrumental he was in my life, because during that first conversation, when he asked me to play basketball at MCC, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But because of that, I was able to get an associate's degree and then was actually recruited to play basketball at the University of Missouri in St. Louis. And Coach Mays helped organize that. It was the first time I'd ever been on a plane to fly to St. Louis to visit the campus, and then ended up playing 2 years there. From there, I graduated with a teaching endorsement and was able to get my bachelor's degree. And then I went out to Colorado and became an educator. And I really don't know that that would have happened without Coach Mays encouraging me to come to MCC and trying to continue just a career playing basketball.
Gauging success as a teacher is basically, I mean, it could be something as simple as, wow, this person, I didn't think this person was ever going to make it. They actually made it through the class. That's always a good thing. Another thing is, wow, look at how great this person is now. I mean, I have had students who are now doctors, physicians, PhDs, some of them that are, you know, really good in the biotech industry. They're microbiologists, they're geneticists, or whatever they are, vets. I've had students who, you know, have made it to all kinds of things. Lots and lots of people are, you know, lots of areas that they wanted to go into. Chiropractic, a lot of chiropractic students, students that became chiropractors, I should say. Students that became, you know, nurses and rad techs and all kinds of things. So if any student makes it to where they want to go, that's a measure of success, because you had something to do with it. They actually learned something from you. That's even a bonus. You know, I've had students come back to me and say, you know, I don't remember a thing I learned in your class, but I remember your stories. That's a positive for me. Okay, you know, because all of my stories had something to do with what we were talking about.
Yeah, if you spent any time with Paul, you knew that you were going to get a good story at some point in the conversation. Most of those were based on a true story, and I think Paul then added his own colorful commentary to many of those. And then typically he started at the birth of Christ and then worked his way forward with his stories. So sometimes you were going to need a bag of popcorn and a good seat in order to really enjoy the show.
And I started working on my PhD. Another incentive to come to Muscatine was Roger Milkman was a professor at the University of Iowa, and he was one of the people that I was considering I wanted to work on my PhD. So when I came here, I started right away working in Roger's lab at the University of Iowa in the what was then the Department of Zoology at Iowa. And I wanted to finish my PhD at Iowa and then move on, you know. But once I finished my PhD, you know, the people at Iowa said, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "Well, I like my job. I'm staying. I'll just be teaching at Muscatine." They just started yelling at me. It just went nuts. A couple of them were using not very kind words. You know, "You need to be one of us. That's what we trained you to be." But, you know, I just liked it here, so I stayed.
Paul, as my instructor for contemporary world issues, and just knew through the faculty that his wife Ann was also a faculty member here at the college. And with a class like contemporary world issues, it was fun to be in the class. It was an interesting elective to take. I took it with my best friend. We both kind of made the decision, hey, let's take contemporary world issues. I don't know anything about Paul Mays, but right from the get-go, Paul made it interesting, made you feel comfortable.
I think Coach Mays just really encouraged me to continue on, and that, you know, gave me the confidence to think that I could go off to a university and continue playing sports and continue working to get a degree. I really appreciate the fact that his encouragement and his his belief in me really was just amazing.
You know, I had a lot of students who came in and they said, you know, I really don't know what I'm doing here. And come as a freshman to a community college, because they just really did, you know, graduating from high school, all of a sudden, you know, it's over. You know, going K through 12, you know, it's pretty much directed. You know what you're going to do, and you know what you have to do next. And then you take some, you know, courses that you like in high school. But other than that, there's not much choice. You just sort of through. Now all of a sudden they're like, whoa. And so many people haven't thought that through. A lot of people, you know, I give a lot of credit to a lot of high school teachers and counselors and all kinds of people who try to get students thinking about things. I also have a little bit of a problem with trying to push students to say, you know, this is what you want to be, because when you're 17, 18 years old, who the heck knows? And who is like they were when, you know, I can remember my experience going to college. What do you want to be? Pro football player. You know? I mean, Billy Jacobini, bless her heart, she just died this year. She was my liberal arts advisor for my freshman year. And she just laughed at me. She says, you and everybody else on the football. I said, yeah, I know. And I know the numbers, because I was not a stupid kid. You know, I said, I know the numbers. 1 out of every 1,000 kids that plays high school football will play college football. 1 out of every 1,000 plays college football will have a chance to play in the pros. I said, I know those, but I'm the one. One of the things that I wanted my students to do was to see what it's like to be in a major research institution, to see what it's like to be in a laboratory situation where there's really something going on that they never even in their mind thought about, because they read about so-and-so in this laboratory or whatever, but not having experienced that. And so almost every year I tried to make 1 or 2 excursions to University of Iowa, Iowa State, to some other institution to show them things that we didn't have. And that they don't hate me. You know, I mean, that's one thing. Teachers have these ego problems about. You know, again, we learn things from all I learned from older teachers here and other places not to get too upset about student evaluations. Because this is what happens with students. You may have, let's say you have 50 students. You have 50 student evaluations. You know, probably 10 to 20 of them are going to be really good. Well, you're going to say, oh, that's really good, but then you're kind of embarrassed that they're saying good things, so you put those over here. Then a great majority of them are going, yeah, it was okay. You know, this class was okay. They didn't really want to put any effort into the evaluation. They had to do the evaluation. They marked, you know, if you had the multiple choices, they marked those. Most of them don't even put any comments other than, yeah, I hope I pass or something like that. So you put those aside because they don't really do anything for it. But you concentrate on the 1 out of 50 that you got that said, I hated this class, and we never did this, and I did that. You know, that's the one you get all bent out of shape. For months you go through, oh, how did I let that happen? It's the one guy out of 50, you know, one person out of 50 that said that, and that's the one that bothers you. And everybody said, forget about that. Don't even worry about that.
It's very kind, funny, friendly, so willing to help. He went above and beyond as a teacher. I felt like just the same as he did as a coach. He just made it a lot of fun to be in school and to be a part of a team, to be a part of the MCC just community. He really made a difference for students and for me personally.
I would say, you know, Paul is definitely deserving of, you know, being a legend this year for 2024, just for his relationship with his students. Obviously, a you know, well-respected faculty member. You know, it was more of a family. I always thought that the instructors, they all got along, and I just think he definitely is well deserved to you know, get this accomplishment and you know add this to his list of credentials, both for he and Ann. You know, it just basically says that, you know, he was top notch in his department. He was here, you know, at the college and really had a huge influence on a lot of students that, you know, came through the program, that, you know, graduated from here and went on to, you know, careers of their own. And he definitely had an influence on mine.
And what I also love about Paul is just even after all these years, you know, you never know if people will remember you or know who you are. When I run into him today, and it's been a long time, he walks right up, calls me by name, makes me feel like I'm the most important person in the room, just like back in the day.
I would call Paul like a lifelong learner. He just enjoyed the process of getting to know people and learning and understanding concepts and ideas, and I think he loved that, which is why I believe people and students liked being around Paul.